So I moved to New York City late last year, and one of the first things I noticed was that there's a Dunkin' on almost every street corner. Now, coming from California, where Dunkin' isn't as big, I was totally taken aback. Like, why are they everywhere? Naturally, my curiosity got the best of me, so I had to go see for myself. Iced coffee? So why are there so many Dunkins? Now, to understand how we got here, we need to go way back, before Dunkin' became a coffee empire. Dunkin' started in 1950 in Quincy, Massachusetts, founded by a guy named William Rosenberg. His idea? A simple coffee and donut shop that catered to working people. He noticed that factory workers and truck drivers were spending more on coffee and donuts than anything else at his food trucks. So he thought, why not just focus on coffee and donuts? And it worked. By 1955, Dunkin' started franchising, which, as we'll see, is a huge reason it exploded so quickly. From the start, Dunkin' was all about speed and affordability. While Starbucks built an image of premium coffee culture, Dunkin' kept things simple, fast, and cheap. And nowhere did the strategy work better than New England. By the 1970s, Dunkin' had hundreds of locations in Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut, turning it into a cultural staple of the Northeast. Even today, Massachusetts alone has over 1,000 Dunkins. In Boston, you're never more than a few minutes away from one. Dunkin' became the go-to coffee brand for commuters, students, and workers who just wanted quick, no-frills coffee. No oat milk foam, no complicated orders, just caffeine, cheap. But here's the thing, Dunkin' isn't just an East Coast thing anymore. Dunkin's real business model isn't just coffee or donuts, it's franchising. Unlike Starbucks, which owns most of their locations, Dunkin' barely owns any stores. Instead, it sells franchise licenses to business owners, and this is why you see Dunkins everywhere. So how it works. First, someone pays an upfront fee, around $40,000 to $90,000, for the right to open up a Dunkin' location. Second, they also have to invest around $500,000 in startup costs, real estate, equipment, staff, etc. And then Dunkin' takes a cut of the revenue, usually around 5 to 6% of their sales, and the franchise owner runs the business. This model is brilliant for rapid expansion because Dunkin' doesn't have to risk its own money to open stores. Franchisees take that risk. Dunkin' collects fees no matter what, even if a store struggles. And franchisees are motivated to make their locations profitable since it's their own investment. So this is why in cities like New York or Boston, you'll see Dunkins just a few blocks apart. Alright, so Dunkin' built an empire, but how's the business actually doing today? Here's Dunkin' by the numbers. In 2020, Dunkin' was acquired by Inspire Brands, the same company that owns Arby's, Buffalo Wild Wings, and Sonic, for around $13.3 billion. Since then, Dunkin' has continued expanding, especially in international markets. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Dunkin' isn't just an American thing. It has thousands of locations worldwide. Now, Dunkin's biggest international markets include the Philippines, with 800 stores, their largest coffee brand in the country. South Korea, with 900 stores, 40% of Dunkin's international revenue. And Saudi Arabia, with 500 plus stores and growing. Dunkin' adapts to local tastes in these countries, which is why it thrives. For example, in the Philippines, people love choco butternut donuts way more than coffee. And in South Korea, they offer things like ube cheese butternut donuts and taro lattes. But it's not always a success. Dunkin' tried to expand into South Africa, but they failed. Alright, so we've covered how Dunkin' dominates with its franchise model and how it adapts to local tastes across the globe. But there's something else that's keeping Dunkin' at the top of the coffee game. Its commitment to simplicity and accessibility. While other brands like Starbucks have leaned into a premium experience, Dunkin' has always been the anti-Starbucks. It's always been about speed, affordability, and convenience. Dunkin' knows that not everyone wants to spend $6 on a cup of coffee. Sometimes you just need a quick, reliable cup of joe that doesn't make your wallet cry. Let's break down what keeps Dunkin' growing. The power of convenience. Dunkin' is all about convenience. People know what they're getting themselves into when they walk in. A fast, simple experience. Whether you're just going in to grab coffee in the morning, before work, or picking up donuts for the kids, Dunkin is easy. In fact, Dunkin was one of the first to really embrace the idea of drive-thru culture in America. In industry, Dunkin now dominates. And it's no surprise when you think about how Dunkin focuses on quick service. As drive-thru orders increase, Dunkin has been well positioned with its efficiency-first model. You're not in line for 10 minutes, you're in and out, which is exactly what people want in today's fast-paced world. Dunkin in digital transformation. In the recent years, Dunkin has really embraced technology. In fact, their mobile app is one of the most successful in the food and beverage industry. You can order ahead, pay through the app, and even skip the line, all without ever talking to anyone. That's convenience. Dunkin has also focused on loyalty programs that give customers rewards, keeping them coming back for more. While Dunkin was built on a brick-and-mortar experience, it's really embracing the future with mobile orders, delivery apps, and customer engagement. Another key to Dunkin's success? They know their customers. Dunkin has always appealed to blue-collar workers, commuters, and families looking for value. And this has never changed. Dunkin doesn't need to offer $8 matcha lattes because they're not trying to sell luxury. Dunkin focuses on serving the everyday person who just wants a decent cup of coffee, fast, without breaking the bank. This focus on core customers gives Dunkin a loyal base, and by keeping their prices low, even today a medium cup of coffee will set you back under $3, Dunkin has continued to attract and retain a massive customer base. Dunkin's ability to adapt. Look at how Dunkin adjusts to changing trends. In recent years, Dunkin has jumped on the health-conscious trend with products like plant-based protein sandwiches and low-calorie drinks. They also embraced cold brew coffee and nitro cold brew long before other chains caught on. And Dunkin isn't afraid to introduce new items. For instance, their limited time flavors, like the fall favorite pumpkin spice, create buzz and keep people coming back to try something new. Whether it's seasonal donuts or wild new coffee concoctions, Dunkin has always had something fresh for customers. In short, Dunkin is flexible and doesn't stick to a rigid formula. It adapts to what people want, staying in the game while other brands get too fancy. And if you think about it, Dunkin has done an amazing job of staying true to its roots while evolving with the times. It's like Dunkin has managed to keep its soul while still growing globally. In a world where coffee shops are turning into high-end cafes with fancy syrups and expensive pastries, Dunkin sticks to what it knows. You can walk into any Dunkin around the world and get the same basic experience: a hot cup of coffee, a box of donuts, and a quick, friendly experience. That consistency is why people trust it and why Dunkin is still going strong. So next time you see 3 Dunkins in a 5-block radius, don't just roll your eyes. Remember, it's by design. Dunkin isn't spreading coffee. It's spreading convenience and nostalgia, and it's doing it better than anyone else. And honestly, I can't say I'm mad about it. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go see if there's another Dunkin down the street, just for research.